Are you struggling with finding inspiration for your next art piece or creative project? We've all been there, that feeling of being stuck, unable to find a spark of inspiration that fuels our creativity. But don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, some of the greatest artists and designers have faced the same struggle. In this video, we'll explore different ways to find inspiration and ignite your creativity. So if you're ready for that and to create something amazing, then stay tuned for the rest of the video. Hi everyone, how's it going? My name is Freddy Cecine, and I'm here today to talk to you about finding inspiration when making art or design work. So one of the questions I get asked the most from people who want to get, either take their art or design work to the next level, or just want to get involved with it, or whatever the case may be, is that they ask me like, Freddy, I cannot find the inspiration, I want to make art, I want to make a drawing, or I want to make a painting, or I want to make a digital work, but my inspiration is just off. So, and I cannot find it within me to what to create about, or, be inspired to make something. So in this video, I am going to give you some different strategies and ways that you can find the inspiration to create and get a solution to this problem that you might be facing. Without further ado, let's get to it. The first way that you can find inspiration is by simply going outside. Yeah, that's right. Just observing the world around you. When you observe the world around you and you really pay attention at your environment, you can find inspiration from the biggest things to the littlest things. If you just go and stroll across your neighborhood, or you go and visit your local museum or any local art galleries around, you go and see a very important cultural place in your neighborhood, you can see a lot of inspiration in there. Try to pay attention to certain things. If you're in a museum, look at the shapes being used, or even little things like you might walking outside and you see a sign for a restaurant or something. Pay attention to the detail, like the shapes, the font they use, or what kind of color they do. And if you feel that by looking at these little things, or there might be some inspiration there to work from or start from, and you really like how something looks, you want to recreate it, start there, and then you can try to then see from there, how can I expand on this idea that I just got intrigued from and just walking along the park. Another method to find an inspiration is to go ahead and test out different art styles. Whether you're an artist or you're a designer, you might find value in try out, especially when starting out, when you try out different methods of creating art, different styles, you might find guidance into creating and finding inspiration. I can really connect to this idea, because I think one of the biggest struggles that I had as an artist, especially, is finding my own art style. It was a everlasting experience, and I do feel this very fundamental, very strong foundation of what my art style is today. I make a lot of abstract art. I also see it as a long-term journey to find your art style. You know, it can be changing, to be evolving, but nonetheless, if you test out different things, you're gonna find inspiration. You can do that by trying out different mediums. If you're just getting into painting, let's say, you know, you might want to first try out some acrylic, try out to paint that in some canvas, or maybe you want to then try out to do more charcoal, or you want to try out then maybe some digital art. You know, you want to be able to draw on your computer and create from there. You know, the possibilities are endless, but when you try different sort of styles and mediums, and a good source is just to look at different art movements throughout history. You know, look through an art history book and you might see that what is it you might get from the Renaissance, or you might get from art in the 90s. You might take bits and pieces there and find some sort of inspiration of what you might want to create. You know, you want to create something more realistic, more abstract, or whatever the case may be. You know, so yeah, don't feel afraid to try different things until you find something that's right for you and creates endless inspiration for you. Another great way to find inspiration is to just go ahead and seek out other artists, see what other people are doing. And I'm not inviting you to go ahead and copy other people's work, but it's good to, if you ever taken an art history class, you know, talking about art movements, you can see what the greats have done and why they were so respected for their work, you know, and that can help shape or intrigue this within you to be inspired to make new art that complements your self-expression. You can look at people like Picasso, or you can look at people like Basquiat, you can look at people like Frida Kahlo, you know, Salvador Dali. There's a lot of people in our art history you can look through, or you can, you know, see people who you might follow on social media, you know, on Instagram or YouTube or whatever the case might be. You know, you can see what they're doing and see like, hey, I really like what they're doing. Let me see how I can find my own twist or my own way to kind of be a contributing member to the art community. So yeah, I mean, that there's a lot of inspiration that you can get there, and you can collab with other artists too. And you know, people in the art community are very nice. I mean, at least most people that I've encountered, you know, so don't feel scared to talk to a fellow artist and see where their head is at, or their creative mind is at, and see if you can find some inspiration or a creative push to create more. Another method that you can find great inspiration from is from trying out new things. When you try out new things, you get a sense of new perspective. I really like this method because in a sense it doesn't have to be involved with art all the time. It can, which I will elaborate, but also it can just traveling, going on a vacation if you are able to, or just go and, you know, do something that is a bit out of your comfort zone, and it might give you a new perspective and new insight of not only how other people see the world, but also how you see it, and, you know, self-learning about yourself, which in retrospect will intrigue more inspiration. So yeah, I mean, I find in my life, I live in South Florida, and there's endless things to do in South Florida and in Miami area, Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach. If you guys are familiar with this area in the United States, there's a lot of things, you know, in a lot of major cities, there's a lot of things to do, and that even if you grew up in areas like this, it takes more than one lifetime to see it all, you know. So see if there's like a park that you've never gone to, or see if there's a tourist attraction that you might have never even seen as a local, So try out those new things. If you have the courage to do thrill-seeking things, skydiving, I mean, that's the one end of the extreme, but you get the idea. In the sense of art, you can integrate it as like, take a new class, take a pottery class, or take a class of dance or acting class or whatever, and something that you're not used to, and then that will give you new insight. And a lot of people find inspiration through this method, I especially connect to the travel one. Whenever I travel, I make sure I have a sketchbook with me at all times, and I really try to take in the culture, a new culture that I might be encountering, or something that I'm, a place that I've gone before and I really have a place in my heart for, then I try to really capture that through my art and find inspiration through there. So this next method for finding inspiration is a bit tied to trying something new. It's find a new challenge. One great example that comes to mind, if you go on social media and stuff, for artists, there's a lot of trends that go on in different seasons. For example, there's one that I did a couple years ago called Huevember instead of November. And people on Instagram, they make a different art piece every day for all of November with a different hue of color, and it's a very fun one. And that's a very practical one. If you really cannot find anything, this will really challenge you and would put you to the test. Okay, if I commit to this, then I have it laid out here of what I need to do. That one, the Huevember one, is basically making, if for example I'm using aqua as a color, I make the entire dominant color in the art piece to be that, taking 80% of the art piece or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of other ones, there's simpler ones, art versus the artist, where you make a collection of yourself and then all the other art that you've done in a post. And I mean, it doesn't have to be related to social media. It can be also for yourself to be hey, I want to be better at sketching. That is one of the challenges I advise the most for people to become better at their art or design work, is to sketch and draw and keep a sketchbook with you a lot at all times. You might find, for example, you draw one single subject matter. Let's say it's an elephant. Day one, you draw elephant, and you do that same concept elephant, be like elephant with a hat. And then you draw the same elephant with a hat for, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Just take 5 minutes out of your day to do that. You might not only find that your skills as an artist to draw will improve, but it would also might intrigue inspiration for you to challenge yourself to make something new. So yeah, find something to challenge yourself, and that is what art and design is all about. It's about you versus yourself, or challenging yourself to improve. And yeah. Last but not least is giving yourself space and time. This is a very important one, and I find it to be a very important thing to do as artists that a lot of people miss to do. It might be frowned upon to doing that, but I think it's a very important part of the creative process, is to give yourself space and time. If you find yourself making art every day, or you're pushing yourself too hard to make something and you're not really happy, or you feel satisfied with what you're making, sometimes the best thing to do is just to take a step back and give yourself time to breathe. And that will not only enhance your creativity and help you improve at finding your inspiration in making art, but it'll also get more energy to come back with a new perspective. I do that from time to time. I just take a step back, and give yourself space and time. It can mean many different things for many different people. For you in a certain point in your life, it might mean like, hey, I'm drawing every day and I've been doing this for 2 years. I haven't taken a week off. Let me take a week off, or let me take a month off from this and see how I come back to it. Or it could mean also, if you've been working for 8 hours in a certain design or work for a client, your graphic design work, it's good for you to step away from the computer, and then come back to it the next day, especially after 8 hours. I feel like, of course, a lot of designers work overtime and it's just part of it sometimes, but sometimes the most productive thing you can do is come at it with a new set of eyes, of a new perspective. And that's when I find my own best self-criticism, and I also find my best inspiration from, of where I need to be headed in my artistic direction or design work. And yeah. So those are my few ideas that might help you in finding inspiration, making a work of art or series, a collection of work of arts, of paintings, whatever the case may be, design, filming, whatever it is. You could even be creative writing. I think this could apply to everything. I hope that you might find value in this and you find the courage to try out one of these methods or all of them if you haven't already. And if you really enjoy this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And yeah, leave a comment down below if I missed a certain idea, or how do you if you have a method of finding inspiration, share down below with me and other artists here, and that might be helpful. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.